Have you ever noticed how most people go through life saying yes to everything and end up living lives they never truly wanted? They let others pull the strings, say yes when they mean no, and compromise who they are just to keep the peace. But here's the truth few will tell you. The difference between a man who lives with purpose and one who drifts through life like a leaf in the wind often comes down to one simple thing: boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates. They're not about shutting people out. They're about letting the right things in. Every successful, fulfilled person you admire has learned this simple, timeless truth. The ability to say no is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. It's not selfish. It's necessary. Without boundaries, your time, your energy, and your purpose are consumed by the noise of everyone else's expectations. We live in an age where distraction is celebrated. Everyone wants a piece of you. Your attention, your opinions, your emotions, your time. The advertisements tell you what to buy. The media tells you what to fear. The crowd tells you what to believe. And before long, you forget what your own voice sounds like. You stop asking yourself what you want, what you believe, and what you stand for. That's what happens when you don't set boundaries. You slowly disappear under the weight of other people's desires. When I was young, I used to think success was about doing more work, more activity, more connections, more approval. But as I grew older, I realized that success is not about addition. It's about subtraction. It's about knowing what doesn't belong in your life and removing it. The man who masters his boundaries masters himself. You see, nature itself lives by boundaries. The ocean stops at the shore. The sun rises and sets on schedule. The seasons follow a pattern, never crossing their limits. Even the cells in your body have membranes. Boundaries that protect what's within. Life itself depends on boundaries. So why is it that human beings are the only ones who think they can live without them? A person who refuses to set boundaries ends up being a slave to everyone else's urgency. They wake up each morning pulled in 10 different directions, their minds scattered, their energy drained. They try to please everyone, and in doing so they please no one, least of all themselves. But a person with boundaries moves differently. They understand their priorities. They know what matters and what doesn't. They walk with calmness because their time and their soul are under their control. It's ironic, isn't it? The people who fear saying no often believe they're being kind, compassionate, or cooperative. But without boundaries, kindness turns into weakness, compassion turns into exhaustion, and cooperation turns into submission. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. If you do not guard your time, your focus, and your peace, the world will take them from you, piece by piece, hour by hour, until there's nothing left for yourself. Every man and woman must draw a line in the sand that says, this is who I am, this is what I believe, and this is how far I will go. And that line is not meant to trap you. It's meant to free you. Because once you know where your boundaries lie, decisions become easier. You no longer waste time on things that don't align with your values. You stop explaining yourself to those who will never understand. You stop being tossed around by every opinion, every demand, every passing storm. Let me tell you something. Most people never realize the world doesn't just test your strength, it tests your limits. Every day, someone or something will push against your boundaries. A friend may ask you to do something you don't believe in. A boss may demand more of your time than you're paid for. A stranger online may challenge your beliefs just to see you react. And if you don't have firm boundaries, you'll give in little by little, thinking each compromise is harmless. But compromise after compromise, you'll wake up one day wondering how you ended up living someone else's life. Boundaries are not built once. They're practiced daily. You have to reaffirm them through your choices, your words, your habits. They must be lived, not just declared. Because every time you choose your peace over chaos, your priorities over distraction, and your values over popularity, you strengthen your foundation. Some people will not like your boundaries. They'll call you arrogant, selfish, or distant. Let them. The truth is, people who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always be the first to complain when you set them. But stand firm. Their discomfort is not your problem. Their approval is not your purpose. You were not born to live according to someone else's expectations. You were born to fulfill your own potential. Boundaries give birth to self-respect, and self-respect gives birth to freedom. When you learn to say no to what drains you, you make space for what strengthens you. When you stop chasing everyone's approval, you start earning your own. When you stop saying yes out of fear, you start saying yes out of power. I once heard a man say, I don't have time. But I looked at his life and I saw that he had time. It was simply being spent on the wrong things. That's the illusion of modern life. We think we're busy, but most of our time is consumed by things that do not matter. When you set boundaries, you stop being busy and you start being effective. You stop living by reaction and you start living by design. Think about this. Every successful person you admire has mastered the art of selective focus. They guard their attention like treasure, because they know it is. They do not attend every argument they're invited to. They don't chase every opportunity that crosses their path. They choose, they decide, they say no to 99 things so they can say yes to the one thing that truly matters. That's what boundaries do. They turn chaos into clarity. A man without boundaries is like a house without walls. Anyone can walk in, rearrange the furniture, and leave a mess behind. But when you build walls, not to keep the world out, but to protect what's within, you create a space where growth, peace, and creativity can flourish. You must understand this deeply. Saying no does not make you cruel. It makes you conscious. It means you are awake to the value of your time, your energy, and your soul. And if you're afraid that setting boundaries will make people leave you, remember this. Those who leave because you respect yourself were never meant to stay. The ones who truly value you will respect your boundaries because they understand their own. You don't lose real relationships by being firm. You lose the ones that were built on convenience. Every day ask yourself, what am I allowing that no longer serves me? What am I tolerating that drains me? What habits, people, or distractions am I letting cross my line? Because each of these small allowances is a leak in the ship of your purpose. Plug those leaks, and suddenly you'll find more energy, more focus, and more peace than you ever thought possible. The tragedy of most lives is not failure. It's distraction. People waste their greatest years saying yes to things that don't matter. They end up climbing a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall. But the man who sets boundaries early knows exactly where he's going. His ladder may climb slower, but it reaches the right destination. Remember this timeless law. If you don't control your environment will control you, your phone, your schedule, your friends, your habits. Everything around you is either pulling you forward or holding you back. Boundaries are how you steer the direction of that pull. So, when the world demands your attention, pause. When people ask for more than you can give, think. When opportunities come knocking, evaluate. Every yes must cost you something worthwhile. Every no must protect something valuable. This is how you live intentionally. By filtering your life through the power of boundaries. It's not easy. It never will be. Saying no will sting at first. You'll feel guilty, even fearful. But that pain is temporary. The regret of a boundaryless life lasts forever. The man who learns to stand firm, to protect his focus, and to defend his peace will eventually discover something remarkable. Freedom isn't found in doing everything. It's found in doing only what matters, and that, my friend, is the essence of living wisely. Because when you master your boundaries, you master your time. When you master your time, you master your life. And when you master your life, you finally discover that the peace you've been chasing has been within your control all along. Once you begin setting boundaries, something extraordinary starts to happen. You begin to see life with a clarity you never had before. You start realizing how much noise you've been living with, how much unnecessary weight you've been carrying, and how many invisible strings have been controlling your decisions. The moment you draw your line, the world reveals its true colors. You begin to notice who respects your time and who only values your convenience. You see who shows up because they care, and who shows up because they need something. Boundaries have a way of cleaning your life without chaos. You don't need to fight, argue, or prove a point. You simply start living by your principles, and the people and habits that don't align will quietly fade away, and that's not loss, it's alignment. Every time something or someone leaves after you've established your standards, it means your life just became lighter, clearer, and more focused on purpose. You see, the power of boundaries lies not only in what they keep out, but also in what they invite in. When you protect your energy, you create space for better ideas, deeper relationships, and stronger growth. You start having time for things that truly nourish your soul, learning, creating, building, resting. You begin to notice that peace is not something you chase. It's something you cultivate when you stop letting chaos enter. Most people think freedom means doing whatever they want. That's not freedom, that's indulgence. True freedom is discipline. It's the ability to say, I could, but I won't. It's the power to choose your response instead of being dragged by impulses and demands. A man without discipline is a prisoner of his own desires, but a man with boundaries is in control of his destiny. There's a quiet strength that comes with living by your limits. It's not loud, it's not aggressive, it's calm and confident. You no longer feel the need to explain every decision or justify every no. You begin to realize that silence is a form of power, and distance is a form of clarity. You don't chase validation anymore because you've already validated yourself in a world that glorifies availability. Be selective in a world that romanticizes hustle. Protect your rest in a world that rewards noise. Cherish your quiet. Every boundary you set is an act of rebellion against the chaos of the modern world. It's you saying, I choose to live on my terms. Think about how many times you've said yes out of fear. Fear of missing out, fear of judgment, fear of disappointing others. But every time you say yes for the wrong reason, you say no to yourself. You silence your intuition, you ignore your priorities, and you betray your peace. The man who learns to say no without guilt is the man who finally learns to live without regret. Boundaries are not only about people, they're about habits, environments, and even thoughts. Some of the most dangerous things you allow into your life are not people, but ideas. Ideas that tell you you're not enough, that you must always prove yourself, that your worth depends on how much you do or how much others approve of you. Those are lies, and like all lies, they lose their power the moment you stop feeding them. Protect your mind as fiercely as you protect your time. Don't let the noise of the world define your worth. Don't let comparison make you forget your own progress. Every time you scroll, listen, or engage, ask yourself, does this add to my life or drain it? If it drains you, build a boundary. If it steals your peace, build a wall. If it takes your time and gives nothing back, walk away. The more you practice this, the stronger you become, because boundaries build self-trust. When you say, I will not tolerate this, and you keep your word, you start believing in your own power. You stop negotiating with disrespect, stop making excuses for toxicity, and stop explaining your standards. That's when you become unstoppable, not because you're hard, but because you're whole. Many people confuse boundaries with loneliness, but solitude is not the absence of people. It's the presence of yourself. When you start spending time alone, something magical happens. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. You reconnect with your values, your goals, your sense of direction. You start to realize that your greatest companion has been waiting inside you all along, your own conscience. Boundaries also reveal what you truly want. When you stop saying yes to everything, you finally have time to ask the right questions. What kind of life do I want to build? What kind of energy do I want around me? What kind of person am I becoming? These questions create direction, and direction, not speed, is what leads to fulfillment. When you look around, you'll notice that the world rewards those who respect themselves. The man who values his time attracts those who respect it. The woman who demands honesty attracts truth. The individual who lives with clear boundaries becomes a magnet for peace and power, because clarity is contagious. When you stand firm in who you are, you silently give others permission to do the same. You may wonder, what happens when my boundaries are tested? They will be again and again. Life has a way of checking how serious you are about your values. You'll be tempted to bend, to compromise, to go back to your old patterns. But remember this, each test is an opportunity to reinforce your strength. Every no you say builds another brick in the fortress of your character. You don't have to explain your boundaries to those who respect them. You only have to enforce them with those who don't. Don't waste your breath trying to make people understand why you're changing. Just change. Your silence will speak louder than any argument, because boundaries are not about convincing others. They're about training yourself, and over time your life transforms. The noise quiets. The drama fades. You start waking up with peace instead of anxiety. You stop rushing through life because your time is finally yours. You begin to feel a sense of mastery, not over others but over yourself, and that's the greatest achievement any person can reach. In the end, setting boundaries is not just about protecting your peace. It's about defining your identity. It's how you tell the world, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and this is what I will not allow. It's not a declaration of war. It's a declaration of worth. The truth is, the world will always demand more from you than you can give. But you are not here to give endlessly until there's nothing left. You are here to live deliberately, to serve meaningfully, and to grow purposefully. Boundaries are how you make that possible. They're how you ensure your energy flows in the right direction, toward things that matter. So, as you walk through this life, remember, peace is not found by escaping the world. It's found by learning how to live within it without losing yourself. And that begins the moment you decide, I will no longer be available to everything. I will no longer give my time to what steals my purpose. I will no longer let the noise drown out my voice. From that moment on, you'll discover something miraculous. Your life doesn't fall apart when you start setting boundaries. It falls into place.